Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. In this video, we've come down to another location of Verde Growers. There's probably been a couple other videos that you will have seen at this point, and I'm back with Nicholas and hopefully Tom again in this video, ultimately. This is one thing we actually have in our Raleigh garden is a variegated African iris, but this is a straight species.
Yes, Iridoid.
Iridoid.
Yes, so originates from South Africa, and the common name is Fortnite Lily. And the reason it's called Fortnite Lily is that it blooms like all these beautiful plants here, and then it'll kind of go tired for a while, and then 2 weeks later, which is a fortnight, the plant will start blooming again. The stems are terrific. They can be up to like 2 feet long. They're beautifully green. You see the flowers, which are a pure white with a soft purple tinge, and then what I call like a really bright yellow anther in there. The stems will have like 3 or 4 flowers on them, and they will have a small seed pod as well. The plant gets to be about 3 feet high, something like that, and will spread. So it's used extensively for retention areas, also for soil erosion areas. It's get too big to go in a container. Great landscape plant. These are used very profusely. It's a USDA zone 9, so it's pretty tender. If you're in the colder regions, I guess you could have a big container and put a clump in there. Great green foliage. So here we are in November, right? And look at it, covered with flowers.
Yeah, it's absolutely covered.
It'll be like this almost year round.
Yeah, well, it's amazing how. So for your seasonal rainfall here in the Southwest, are these going to go in? These need to go in wetter areas, or they need to?
No, they
do. Seasonal rainfall?
So we keep them pretty well irrigated at the farm, but they go out into the landscape. They'll go into well irrigated areas, kind of drier areas as well. They do need some moisture to keep the flowers coming on them.
Got it.
Yeah,
gotcha. And
just
they're
terrific.
evergreen.
Yes, very much evergreen.
Nice.
Yeah.
So would you pull one of these out of the ground after a few years and divide them? Is that the way you're?
Do you know you could do that? So we grow these. That's a great question. We do grow these by division.
Okay.
So if you've got one in your garden and it gets too big, you could dig a clump. Right, and then plant it somewhere else. Dig it probably in the cooler season of the year, something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you got another dietes we'll go and take a look at.
We do, lemon drop.
Nice, let's do it. So I'm holding the Iridoides here. What's the difference between it and the one you're holding?
Jim, thank you. So we thought it would be fun to show you. You can really see the difference. So Iridoides is kind of taller and leggier, gets to about like 4 feet high.
And kind of broader.
Yes. And lemon drop, believe it or not, this plant lemon drop, Morea was discovered in San Diego County.
Oh, wow.
So it was found here. So it's shorter, probably about 2 to 3 feet tall, maybe 2.5. You can see it's much greener and it's much more compact. The flower has more of a yellow cast on it. Yeah. So people want something, a smaller plant that doesn't get as big as Iridoides. They have like a smaller garden or a smaller landscape. This is a brilliant plant. Brilliant plant to try.
It really looks great with or without flowers.
It's gorgeous,
it's just a nice,
isn't it? Yeah.
It's just a nice.
So one of the other things, and this is as you get to be around plants, they do surprisingly well in the dappled shade position.
Oh, okay,
so
gotcha.
they're great for full sun, but they will take some shade. And again, Fortnite Lily, you'll get this 2-week cycle of flowers.
Right.
Isn't that a great plant?
It is. Looks great. So Nicholas, we were driving past a cart and things that are being pulled for an order, and when some things I didn't really recognize. I know the lavender and I know the salvia we're going to talk about, but I can see why these were being pulled.
They're gorgeous, aren't they?
They are. So you want to talk us through some of these things?
Yeah, lovely. So this is a lavender pinnata, which is a very tender lavender, about probably USDA zone 9. Yeah. Very rare. There's not many people growing it. Very fragrant foliage, beautiful, tall, almost turquoise colored flowers. They're gorgeous.
Wow.
In the background, this is a podocarpus. Podocarpus, USDA zone 7 to 8, used in many regions of America. And then this is Leptospermum. Leptospermum, otherwise called the New Zealand tea tree. When Captain Cook and his sailors sailed across the Pacific Ocean, they ran out of tea, right? So when they hit New Zealand, or bumped into New Zealand, all the sailors rushed ashore because they were dying for a cuppa. It's a true story. And the first plant they found was this New Zealand tea tree. So they harvested the leaves and they made a tea out of it.
Isn't that wild?
I've never done that.
No,
but
okay,
anyway.
yeah, it doesn't look.
So this is an autumn, winter, early spring bloomer used extensively for cut flower programs. Depending on the plant, they get quite big. This one is called Ruby Glow. Look at all the flowers on it.
Oh, it's perfect.
Great.
Yeah, we're shooting this in November.
Yeah.
As a
and
reference.
then this one's a slightly larger grower, a real kind of lipstick pink flowers called Helen Stribing, after the Arboretum. So the flowers, the new growth, all speaks for itself.
Beautiful.
And then at the end, this is a salvia. We think it's baby bliss. Really cool foliage. It's gray. Great fragrance.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Terrific.
Yeah. This is one of those that the rabbits won't eat.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to graze on this.
No.
Has this smell? Has this smell on purpose? What beautiful blue.
It's nice, isn't it?
Blue-green foliage.
Yeah. So what's your favorite plant, Jim? Which one do you like the most?
Of all the ones on here, well, we'd love to grow some lavender back east, but we just, we have a hard time in the water. We can grow some lavenders, but that one's, of course, not going to be cold hardy at all. But I'm drawn to salvias. We have a terrible deer and rabbit problem back east for most people, and so anything in this Lammy ACA is like,
I get it.
Yeah. Same thing with the lavender.
Yeah.
Yep. So Nicholas, this is one that we can grow in our area back east, but you can also grow out here. Tell us about this hot lip salvia.
Terrific, thank you. So if you're a fan of MASH, you remember MASH with Colonel Potter?
Yeah.
This is your plant because it's called Hot Lips. You remember Hot Lips Houlihan, right?
Exactly.
This is a really unique plant. For us on the West Coast, for that Mediterranean region, the flowers speak for themselves. That really need no description. What is really cool about it is so many of the salvias we grow out here tend to kind of stop blooming or ease back in the summer and in the autumn. And here we are in November, the plant is pumping the flowers and does the same thing in the middle of summer. Yeah. Great bush. For us, it gets probably 2.5 feet high and nice and compact and rounded. We treat it as a herbaceous. So we'll cut it back like in the early spring. We'll leave it entire during the winter months. And great drought tolerant, great for a mass planting, water-wise. Couldn't wish for a better plant.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And you'll have the white flowers, the red flowers, and then some combination of the two. In various, it seems like it's a little bit temperature-based, but for us in Raleigh, these will bloom during our fall and spring months. So in the summer, it's kind of dormant, and in the winter, of course, it's very dormant. But we'll cut them back after that spring flowering. You can cut them in half, and then they'll flush back out. They won't do much blooming in the summer, maybe a few flowers here or there.
Sure.
And then in the fall, they'll just come back into that full flower. But all the salvia, this is microphylla, and then Greggii, and a bunch of these are just great industrial full sun perennials that we can, you're using in the Southwest here. I see them all over the place, and then we can use them back east. So not a lot of that overlap that we can have, but where it fits, this is a great plant for just no maintenance.
Yeah.
We have several people in our neighborhood who have them on slopes.
Yeah, for erosion control.
And they root, they root pretty aggressively into the ground.
So do you see this tolerant of your clay soils as well?
Yeah, we don't have any problem growing.
Which is really unusual.
Right, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's overlap is kind of strange. For a Mexican native, it does great in the South. And we are driving the hummingbirds crazy right now because we are standing in the middle of this. And
there must be 10 or 15 of us zooming around.
Steph is looking everywhere. And we can hear them. They're like, get out of our plants. Yeah, awesome. All right, I've been out here 2 Novembers in a row. And I see this plant with its purple flowers, with the bees all over it this time of year, and I don't know much about this one. Every time but it's everywhere. It's it's used a lot.
It is. The name is the common name is Status.
Yes.
Botanical name is limonium, and it is what you see it doing now with all the flowers. It does this 365 days a year. Yeah. It never really stops. It's very salt tolerant. You see it planted a lot out by the coast.
Yeah, and we saw it around Malibu and down the whole area to Venice. And,
and even we have June gloom out there where it gets real foggy, and this will still keep planting still keep blooming, should I say. So if you've got that perennial type garden or rockery, or even with the desert landscape, and you want something that kind of brings some color in. This is a perfect plant. So, I mean, look at the bouquets. The flower set will probably be about 20 inches all told.
Yeah, yeah.
And the flowers last forever indoors in a vase. It's just fantastic.
Isn't that wild?
Yep, you can also dry them, and even when you dry them, they still look pretty good. So
this leaf is really leathery.
It's big, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's,
yes.
It's just an interesting plant. But again, every single time I'm here, it seems like I see this thing in bloom, and I'm like, what is it? And then we look across the field here, and you can really see it.
It jumps out.
It jumps.
Yeah,
it really, really jumps.
So landscaping use. That's why it's so popular, because it's really so resilient. And old plant, but landscapers love it for soil retention, mediums, a dry spot. You're in your part of the world, this would be great for a container. Probably wouldn't work in your damp soils.
Right. Yeah, as long as it has good drainage.
But for a container would be good. We'll have to figure out how we can get you a plant. You can try it.
Yeah, we'll take one of these home.
Yeah.
So we have a few agave species and hybrids that we can grow back in Raleigh, but we have to do a little bit of work, to grow them. Out here, you just
plant them.
You just plant them, right?
Yeah.
Well, tell us about this special one.
This is an agave, which is actually a cross between two, called Blue Wave, and the color speaks for itself.
Oh,
the plant gets to be about 3.5 feet tall and wide.
Yeah.
And you'll notice where Stephanie is with her camera, the plants are leaning towards her, the sun's behind her.
Yeah.
So they will lean towards the sun. And as they get larger, they pup from the base.
Yeah.
So they really get to be a big plant. The leaves are this great blue.
Yeah.
They are a little bit armed, right? They have a spike on them.
Yeah.
So that you have to put them out of the way of pedestrians. But as you stand in front of it, it actually looks like a blue wave coming towards you.
It does. It's got a good name. A good name for that reason. So this one's zone 9, 20, 25 degrees.
Yep.
So what about, maybe we could use it as a container plant?
In your area, Jim, in the Carolinas, this would be great for a container. The main thing is the soil you use, make sure it's well drained, because if they sit, they'll just rot. But I think, this blue just brings out so many other colors in the garden. Yeah. And like a brick house, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And we love the texture difference that, something like this creates. This, foliage color. We're using foliage color, texture, the shape of the plant, the width of the leaf.
Yes.
All those things contrast so well in the garden with other things, and we absolutely love them. We can't grow many of them, but we certainly do love them. We just have a couple of agaves in our Raleigh garden, but this is a beautiful one.
If we're driving around and we find a gallon, we'll have to send you home with one.
Okay. Perfect. So back east and in the southeast, we grow mostly podocarpus, macrophyllus.
Yes.
And in our garden, we have Roman candle, which has the white new growth. And I think
the variegated one.
Yeah, I think you guys grow it somewhere in the company.
I think we're still trialing it.
Okay, still trialing it. And then you're growing mood ring.
With the beautiful pink tips.
Yes, and I think you guys are growing that one as well. But then out here in the southwest, you have a couple of other species.
Yep. And this is Hinkley.
Hinkley.
Yeah,
okay,
otherwise known as yellowwood.
Okay. Yeah.
And all the podocarpus, as you know, they need some room. They get to be big plants. But what's unique, I think, about this is you've got this great British green racing foliage on it, really nice, where the new growth is chartreuse. And so it's a great contrast. Interestingly enough, I found some seeds on the plant, which I'm going to give to you.
Oh. Thank you.
Right? So you're going to take those home, and I'm sure you're going to try and germinate them.
Yeah, of course.
And see what happens. It's really fun.
Yeah.
So for landscaping use, you can use a triangle, where you have a triangle of 3, and then you put a seat in the middle, which is very European. They make terrific hedging plants.
Oh, yeah.
Or
perfect.
For a large garden, park space, nice column upright. Some people will actually trim them as a pyramid. Yeah. So they're much more conical in shape and formal. Put them in a big container. You can keep them in there for a few years. So really a handsome plant.
It is, and you got another species a little further down.
We do. Let's go and look at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So Verde produces. You got all different container sizes. Small thing, from small things, but these are 25s here.
These I think are 30 gallons.
30 gallons. And
we go from a gallon all the way to a 900 gallon size tree, and a 900 gallon size tree will be something like this. Probably takes a couple of boom trucks. Yeah. And the longer growing trees, somewhere between 10 and 12 years to finish them.
Isn't that wild? So tell us about this podocarpus.
So this is Podocarpus gracilior, and this is known as the fern podocarpus,
and
because of its beautiful
look. Yes.
This is a big grower. This plant will get like 30, 40, 45 feet high.
Yeah.
But again, you can see it really is nice and conical and upright. The foliage is different, Jim, from the one we just looked at. Where it's kind of a 45-degree angle,
Yep, I see that.
slightly, not needle-like that would harm you, but it's really nice, pointed, and very upright.
Yeah, it
If you
doesn't look like it'd be prickly, but it's not.
It's cool,
No,
isn't
yeah,
it?
Yeah,
very cool.
Yeah.
So as we were walking around, we noticed a really unusual plant that. Talk to us about when you go looking for plants and you find something unusual.
Yeah.
Right. You found this. So what would you do?
Well, you have to evaluate it and see if people are actually going to like it first. I mean, you know, you get this chartreuse color, which everybody watching my channel would go, that's definitely Jim's plant for sure. But
yes.
the problem is it anyone else's plant?
Yes.
You know, are people going to buy it? So as we're riding through nurseries, this is the type of thing we can see is somewhere in the propagation, somewhere along the line,
Someone took a cutting.
somebody took a cutting,
Yeah.
and it would happen to be something different.
Yeah.
And it had a different growth habit. It had maybe it wears its flowers on the outside. It's accidental.
Yes.
All right. So if you look at something like the Southern Living Plant Collection, you might see 2/3 of the plants were bred intentional.
Yes.
Intentional breeding, where somebody was looking for different traits from one plant and adding them to
Something
another.
smaller, more compact.
But then probably 1/3 of the collection is somebody was riding through a nursery and realized that this, like Miss Scarlet Alyssium, I think is an example of that, where all the flowers on the outside
Yeah.
of that Alyssium.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
as you're driving through a nursery, all the flowers, Alyssium typically eat the flowers a bit.
Yes.
You know, the flowers are on the inside of the plant. And so then there's this kind of thing too, you know, where you're just riding through someplace. Now the question is, again, and we got 6 people standing here, you know, you have to survey this, you have to look at it. You have to, now, can you root it?
Yes.
Sometimes.
Can you grow it, right?
Can you grow it?
Yeah.
You know, all kinds of things. It's out there in the sun, chartreuse color in the full sun like this, it probably will grow.
So should we tell Tom or?
Yeah, we'll tell Tom. Tom's not
Okay.
going to like it. Tom's not going to like it, but yeah. But yeah, it's interesting.
Terrific. Well, so just quick, while we talk about plants, so Tom's primary job is new plants,
Yeah.
and he travels America, travels all over the world, like you chaps do,
Yeah.
at PDSI looking for new plants. But it's always fun to find something unusual.
It is.
Really
It is.
cool.
Okay, we're going to wrap this video up with these unusual things that a Verde grows here.
This is the last one.
This will be the last one.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yes. But this is one I'm not actually all that familiar with, so
Okay.
I can learn something too
Terrific.
on this.
All right.
Let's do this.
So this is an Aromophila, and the common name of Aromophila is an emu bush.
Emu bush.
Emu bush.
Yes.
So comes from Australia.
Yep.
And they have become extremely popular in the southwestern region. You've got varieties like this guy here, which is more of an upright shrubby model,
Yep.
and we call this Ruby Glow. Got these great copper flowers that open to this shiny amethyst color, hot
Yeah.
pink color.
Yeah.
It's really
almost,
gorgeous.
Almost like a fuchsia type
It
flower.
is.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
But we know that gray plants are your favorite. So
Well,
we
out
thought
here, when I'm in the desert Southwest, it's definitely this blue-gray.
they're perfect,
Yes,
aren't they?
They are.
But you know what? You have a blue-gray plant like this guy. It really shows off Ruby Glow better.
It does.
This is a prostrate plant.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably going to get about like 10 or 12 inches tall, and it'll get 3 to 4 feet wide. They have a soft yellow flower.
Yep.
They bloom in the late summer, autumn, and they'll go right the way through till the late winter. So they're a wintertime bloomer. In
Yeah.
the summertime, you know, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
They're used primarily for erosion control.
I see that.
Mediums.
Yeah.
They take all the reflected heat you can give them. I mean,
Wow.
they're absolutely terrific.
Right. Yeah. Which is this
they're
color.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they're pretty much disease free. There's really we don't see any diseases. Don't have issues with root rot or anything like that.
Right.
I've actually seen these out in Phoenix, where it'll be like 118, 119
Yeah,
during
yeah.
the day, and they've planted them on volcanic rock,
Yeah.
and the plants are like, "Come on, give me more."
Really?
You know, they just
Yeah,
love
wow.
it. Yeah,
That's crazy.
So very versatile. So for us, for the landscape trade, they're always used en masse. No one will ever buy one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a terrific.
Perfect plant for that.
Yep.
So, well, thank you so much for bringing me up to speed on this and so many things in this visit out here to California, which we had talked about for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I run into you and Tom
Yeah.
will be in another
Yeah.
video we shot today as well. But
We've loved having you.
Yeah.
You
well,
and
so much.
Stephanie as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Thank you,
inviting us
Sam.
out. Yep.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks, guys.